How to encourage kids to love to read. A love of reading is a habit you have to encourage from a young age. So today, we want to show you some ways to encourage kids to love reading, even before they know how to speak. Reading stimulates your imagination, creativity, and helps you increase your vocabulary. At the same time, it increases your writing ability. If you want to encourage kids to read, don't hesitate. After all, it isn't a difficult task. But there are some keys that you need to follow every day. This is where parents have a very important role. Encourage kids to read through example. You can't think about how to encourage kids to read if you don't have a habit of reading yourself. Remember, children imitate what adults do. If it's hard for you to read, start reading like they do in the movies. Read your children a story before they go to bed or at some other point of the day. This will bring you closer to both your children and to books. And it will make your children familiar with reading and encourage kids to read because they see it as something fun. For this to have the result you want for the smallest members of your family, it's important to start teaching them to love reading as soon as possible. There are books for children that have a lot of drawings. They even have different elements that let your child interact with them and get used to them. However, remember that you need to try to read. It doesn't matter if it's not something that you normally do. Encourage kids to read by making reading a habit. If your children don't ever see you with a book in your hand, how will they believe you if you tell them they should read? Let your children pick what to read. Parents sometimes like to think that only they can choose, know, and determine what's the best for their children. However, why not ask them what they want to read? What book do they want to read the most this time? Which title sounds the most attractive to them? You need to keep their desires in mind. This is because what you want is for your children to be interested in reading. You don't want them to think it's weird to have a book in their hands. If their selections don't please you, maybe you can propose a trade. You choose a book and then they choose the next one and so on. This way, your children will be more motivated. You can't forget that reading should be something fun. If your youngsters can't read what they really like, they'll see it as an obligation. As a result, when they can, they won't look for a book to read. You don't want reading to have negative connotations for them. Instead, you want the opposite. So, what if you started to take their wants in mind? The importance of starting a habit. Staring habits are important when you want to encourage kids to love reading. But you can also use this in other areas of your life. You can read with your children before going to bed, after eating, or at any time of the day. The important thing is that you do it on a daily basis. This will help you encourage kids to love reading effectively and quickly. And the youngest members of your family will learn the importance of forming habits. Habits are a way of organizing yourself and structuring your day. And this will give you results over the long run. And you know that it's better to start sooner than later. So, have you started yet? Teaching your children to love reading is one of the best lessons you can teach them. Many times, we make excuses for not reading. We keep saying that we don't have time. But, in reality, we think that reading is a waste of time. When you have young children at home, you can start one of the most beneficial habits immediately. But, it's very easy to overlook. So, encourage kids to read with a new book today.